Hello friends, in this video we will show you how to replace the valve cover and how to clean or replace the intake manifold on this Volkswagen Scirocco equipped with a 2.0 liter CFFB code diesel engine. It's the same operation for these codes as well. You can find these engines and the models from this long list. Okay everyone, enough with the intro, let's get to work. First you'll have to remove this crankcase breather hose that goes to the PCV valve. Take this plastic mount off the cover. Start removing the electrical connectors from the injectors. Follow these steps to take out the return lines from the injectors. Clean the fuel spills with some paper towels. Place the return line and the wire harness aside. Disconnect this small hose. If you plan to reinstall the same injectors, it would be a good idea to number them before removal. Disconnect the glow plug wires. Take out the connectors for the fuel rail sensor and the fuel rail pressure regulator. They are on the ends of the fuel rail. Now you need a 17mm spanner to remove the nuts holding the high pressure supply lines. There is one on the injector side and one nut on the fuel rail side. Take out these two bolts using an M8 or triple square. You can also use a Torx bit spline, but you may damage the bolt head. Normally, if you don't have a fuel injector extractor, you would have to be patient and wiggle the injectors until they come out. We also used a panel clip prying tool because the injectors were a bit stuck. We were replacing the valve cover, so it didn't really matter if we damaged the old one. This is a simpler and safer technique you may also use if you don't want to replace the cover. All you need is a 17mm socket and an extender. Cover the openings of the injector well so you don't drop anything inside. Use an M10 to remove the two bolts holding the fuel rail. There are 6 T30 screws holding the valve cover. Release these clips and place the belt guard aside. Disconnect the main fuel line from the rail and you should be able to take out the cover. In the beginning it will seem stuck, but you just have to wiggle it a bit more and it will come out. Before reinstalling the injectors, you will have to clean their wells and seats. As you can see, some dirt has accumulated at the base. We will now proceed with disassembling and cleaning the intake manifold. If you're not interested in this part, you can skip it, but from our perspective, this would be a good time to perform this operation as well. First, we disconnect the throttle body connector. Then we loosen this metal clamp and remove the end of the intake duct. You'll then have to remove this clamp. There will be several T30 screws securing different pipes to the intake manifold. We also disconnect this return hose from the fuel rail. It would be a good idea to protect the cylinder head with a clean cloth at this stage. There are two more screws holding the fuel pipes. You need the 17mm spanner again to remove this fuel pipe from the high pressure fuel pump. Get the fuel rail and the glow plug wire harness out of the way. This black pipe too. And now you have access to the 10 identical bolts holding the intake manifold. Use a magnet for the hard to reach bolts. There's one more 10mm screw holding the dipstick tube. We will make the most of this opportunity and will also replace the glow plugs. As you can see, this intake manifold isn't that clogged, and neither is the throttle body. We will, however, take the throttle body off the manifold and then give them both a good scrub. The cleaning methods depend on personal preference, so we won't go into detail on that. Now that the valve cover is out of the way, you can use a clean cloth to thoroughly clean the well of each fuel injector. Apply some engine oil to the camshafts for a good lubrication. Also, don't forget to clean the area where the intake manifold sits. After cleaning the intake manifold, you will obviously have to replace the rubber gasket. All the steps are now in reverse order, so I will skip to the important parts, manufacturer recommendations and torque settings. These are the specs in the repair shop manual. I'm sure you will find them useful for the installation part of the intake manifold. Just pause where needed. The new valve cover came with its own gasket and grommets. Just make sure the gasket is nice and flat before installation. And these are the specs for the valve cover. If you are reinstalling the old fuel injectors, you have to clean any dirt or rust and then replace the rubber O-ring and the copper washer. Sometimes the copper washer won't sit on the end of the injector and you may lose it, so applying just a bit of grease to the contact surface of the washer will make it stick until you install the injector. Same process for all the fuel injectors. It is also recommended to apply some special fuel injector or glow plug grease. Make sure the copper washers are properly seated on the injectors during installation. These are the specs for the fuel injectors. As you can see in the diagram, we got 8 Newton meters plus 180 degrees for these two bolts holding the clamping pieces. These are stretch bolts, so it's important to buy new ones. For the bolts holding the fuel rail, we have to use a torque of 22 Newton meters. You should also replace the small O-rings on the return lines marked with number 5 in the service manual diagram, or fuel leaks may appear. We also use VCDS to bleed the fuel system before starting the engine. You have to repeat the bleeding function about 4 times. This way the fuel pump will push fuel through the high pressure pump and into the rail at a pressure of 3 to 6 bars. To get fuel into the injectors, you will have to crank the engine a few times so that the high pressure pump creates a minimum pressure of 200 bars in the rail. Once the ECU detects this minimum pressure, it will command the injectors to spray fuel along with any trapped air. Okay guys, that was it. Hope this video was useful. If it was, don't forget to reward our effort with a simple like, comment, share or subscribe. It is totally free and it helps our channel grow. Until next time, we wish you all the best. Bye bye.